you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, and you always ask me that. And the last thing I'll say is, I'm just grateful for Justin.
She said no, and look what she doing.
We're gonna cut this part out, I'm sure. But you know. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Bri.
And I'm Lew. And in today's video, what we're going to get into is some things that a lot of our friends typically will reach out to us because when it comes to relationships, they may have questions or they just probably want a little bit of insight. And what we figured we would start doing is making these videos that would give people relationship advice, right?
Right, and for this particular video, a friend of mine approached me and said that she really admired how I maintained my independence while being engaged to Justin. And she was like, you don't know this, but I really look at that, and it's something that she was saying it's something that she believes is a struggle for single people and people dating. Like, how do you balance both?
Yeah. And one reason why this video should be able to help a lot of people is because the generation that we live in, a lot of us typically will go get a degree or will go work or whatever the case is. And instead of like getting into a relationship when you're younger, it's like you delay entering into a relationship. You start living on your own, you start taking care of yourself, and you start getting to this mindset to where you're by yourself, you're single, you can do everything on your own. Why would you need somebody else, right? But when you get into a relationship, if you're so used to those habits, it can be difficult maintaining that sense of self as well as understanding that you are in a relationship now. You know, and when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about being married or engaged or whatever the case is, right? So more so in those cases, because if you're dating people, like you're leading up to that. Right.
Right, if you've made a commitment to be with this one person is what we're referring to. So yeah. I know for me, when Justin and I got engaged, it was a balance. Like it was a challenge to figure out, okay, how do I show that I'm becoming his wife, do the things that he may need me to do, and then also make sure that I don't lose my own identity in this, because that does happen sometimes. But I will say the partner that you choose matters so much, because Justin has always supported me being my own person, and you'll be able to identify that in your spouse if they are your mate, them supporting you being your own person by the things they ask you. Like, he'll say, okay, what are you working on now? How are you getting XYZ done in your business? Or what are you doing this week to challenge yourself? Here's a book that I'm reading. Maybe we can read this together. It's, you know, so things like that encourage you, that educate you, and also just support what you were already doing even before you got into the relationship. So he knows that I'm a photographer. He was already supportive of that before we got into the relationship. And when we got into it, it wasn't like, oh, all of that stops, we need to focus on us. It was like, this is a portion of what you're bringing, and I want to nurture this and grow it with you. Yeah. So,
and this advice is always dependent upon the relationship. But one thing I want to say from a male perspective is that there are a lot of men that typically kind of approach relationships and they expect things before there's a committed relationship, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't do that. So when we started dating and we were going through that phase, I respected Bri as an individual, and I didn't expect her to do anything else on top of that. Like, I didn't expect her to cook, I didn't expect her to clean. That stuff is silly in my personal opinion, right? But once we got engaged, then it was like, okay, I still respect you as an individual, but let's work together as a team, you know? So yeah. I think by starting the relationship off like that, before we had got engaged, and just encouraging her and pushing her to still focus on what she wanted to do, that kind of led up to that. For myself, remaining an individual, this is one of the things we talked about in the first videos about the personality types. It just so happens that my personality type, I'm very grounded in who I am as an individual. and it goes back to that confident individualism that we both share. So it may be easier for both of us because of our personality types. And if you guys haven't checked out those videos, make sure you check it out. We'll put a link in the top of the video. But figure out what your personality type is, because even before I knew that, I was always confident in myself, right? And by being confident in myself, that made me focus on who I am as an individual. So when she came into the picture, I already knew what I would tolerate and what I wouldn't tolerate. So when she would approach me about something, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera. And it goes back to what she said. It's about your partner. She respected my stance on those things. She's like, all right, well, I'll give you your space and allow you to do what you need to do, because she trusted that whatever I was doing was ultimately going towards the relationship, right? So.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say about this is your friendships matter as well. So especially for women, because we tend to be very much so influenced by our friends. And I'm grateful that I have people in my life who, like my friend was able to recognize that I was able to balance, but she also didn't make me feel guilty about our dynamic needing to shift. Especially when we got into the relationship. She was like, you know, I see, I know what time it is. I'm not gonna call you, you know, too late, because I don't know, you know, what you and Justin might be doing. He may be asleep, things like that. Or she'll text me ahead of time and say, hey, can you talk right now? Or, you know, whatever. Or if I say, oh, I'm hanging out with Justin, it's never, you know, she doesn't guilt trip me. And I think that happens sometimes too, and it might cause people to feel like they need to assert their independence in their relationship in a negative way, like
in an unnatural,
right, in an unnatural way to prove to someone else that they're still independent. And I'm just grateful. Like I said, I have like a really great support group of people who support who I am in my relationship and who I am with them as well. It's the same person, but it's just how I spend the time. So that matters.
And that's one thing that I can say, that through my dating experience, when I met my fiance, she just so happened to have those type of friends that when I purposely wanted to get to know who her friends were, because like she stated, women can be easily more influenced by their friends, or just even encouraged to, hey girl, do this, da 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 da.
Yeah.
So getting to know her friends definitely was something that was on my radar. But going back to kind of like for just to be individual within myself, I think really it just boiled down to the just trust, right? And when it comes to a partner, not only do you have to know who their friends are, but being able to trust that their friends are not trying to tell her things outside of it. Like, you know how some people, y'all may have a homeboy that whenever you around your homeboy's fiance, y'all put on this little good character, but then you go out and something switch up. Well, thankfully, neither one of us have that, right? So being able to have a group of people around us that they believe in us, they encourage us, they want to see us stay positive and loving one another and supporting one another is definitely very key. But I think the last thing I would say about this, and we could keep going on about it, but we were watching the show Black Love. I think it's on Hulu, right?
Yes, and if you have a subscription without ads, hit us up, because the one we're using has it. All right.
But yeah, so we were watching. My fiance told me about the show Black Love, and one of the things that I noticed was that throughout the episodes, there's an underlying tone of like this individualism within each couple, and people tend to think that that's a bad thing, right? We're not promoting that you get into a relationship to be an individual, because that defeats the purpose of being in a relationship.
Yeah.
You only seek a relationship because you want to become one with the person, right? Mm-hmm. But we're still human. You know, she has her own likes, she has her own preferences. I have my own likes, I have my own preferences. We both have our own dislikes and things of that nature. And it's like, instead of trying to force things onto each other, like there's certain shows I just don't like watching. And she respects that, rather than trying to guilt trip me and say, well, you never want to watch what I want to watch, or you never want to do what I want to do, and all this little silly stuff. It just, we respect each other's boundaries and our own personal preferences, to where we can still be who we are. And I think the ultimate goal is, when you do that, you'll be happier as an individual, and when you're happy without needing a relationship, you'll be happier in a relationship.
Yeah.
And if you can maintain it going into a relationship of still being an individual and still being happy, grounded in yourself, that is what prevents a lot of conflict, right?
Right. Yeah. And also, as Justin said, that prevents a lot of conflict, but also things happen sometimes. But always remember that this person is on your side, like no matter what. If you keep that in mind when y'all are dealing with whatever and trying to maintain that balance, it'll help you work through it easier, because then you approach it differently when you know, oh, this person is fighting for me just like I'm fighting for them. So, yeah.
And yeah, the one thing I can share when we went through premarital counseling, I guess on the future videos of our channel, what I'll continually say is the theme, do the work, right?
Yeah.
That's the theme that we live by in our relationship. It's like, we did the work and we continue to do the work that is required. And most people approach relationships as if it's this fairy tale that everything is gonna work out, or you're gonna meet your perfect partner. Nobody's perfect, and it requires work to work through things to remain as an individual, but also build a relationship and a legacy together, you know. And I would just encourage people just to really sit down, get to know who you are first if you're single, so that when you enter into a relationship, you can tell the person that you're trying to be with what you like, what you dislike, and as long as they can respect that, because if they can't respect it, then now at the beginning of a relationship, you can know that, hey, this is maybe something I should cut off, right? But when we started going through some of the turmoil that all relationships go through, right, I was able to see that she respected who I was, I respected who she was, and even to this day, when we do have disagreements or arguments or whatever you want to say, we never badmouth each other, we never resort to that, because we respect each other as individuals first, and then we keep in mind that we are building a family and ultimately a legacy. So everything that we do is like, all right, she needs to be doing what she needs to be as an individual so she can be happy, so then the house is at peace. Because brothers, y'all already know, the greatest thing a woman can add to your life is peace. You know, the Bible, there's so many passages in Proverbs where it says it's better to live in the middle of the desert than with a quarrelsome or an argumentative wife, right? You know, so that's the last thing I'll say. I'll keep it short on this video.
You know, the last thing I'll say is I'm very grateful for who Justin is, because he does encourage me to always be who I am, and he wants to know all parts, you know, so thank you, babe.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want us to go into anything in more specific, or if there is a different topic that you all want us to touch on, make sure you leave it in the comments below. I know moving forward, we already have topics that we want to touch on. We're thankful for our friends that ask us these kind of questions, and we encourage you all to continue to do it. And what we'll do, maybe, depending if somebody puts a comment, we'll put the comment and it'll be like, okay, in this video, so-and-so asked this. We'll go into it that way. But we're going to try to keep these videos short. It's your boy, J. Lew.
And your girl, Bri.
We hope you have a great day.
Salute.